A discovery so grim that they closed down the whole island.
Wastewater treatment plant Deer Island remains closed to the public. In the meantime, authorities are pleading for the public's help.
A discovery made by an innocent girl and her curious dog.
Running around in the rocks, and the girl went after where the dog was.
It was found on the beach, the harbor side, where the creepy water treatment plant is.
And so authorities are currently reviewing surveillance video taken from a nearby wastewater.
What did they find? Was it radioactive, or a deadly virus, or explosives?
Donna Smith happened upon the scene and snapped this picture.
Washed up on the rocks, and it's covered in a white sheet right now. Look.
It's far more depraved.
At this point, state police and the DA's office have no idea who this child is or how she got here.
This is the story of Bella Bond, the Deer Island baby doe. Join us as we unravel the mystery behind the baby in the bag that shook the entire world. On the summer afternoon of June 25, 2015, Bonnie Flynn was out for a stroll with her dog on Deer Island in Boston, Massachusetts.
This is Deer Island. It's just east of Boston's Logan Airport there. You can get here by car or by boat.
Deer Island is a popular recreation destination, especially for its beautiful hiking and biking trail, which is reachable by car, bus, or sea from the main city.
It's a popular spot for biking, for jogging, even for fishing. And there's also this big water treatment facility right here, with a lot of people going in and out.
But Bonnie Flynn is not a tourist from the mainland. She is a local from Winthrop Town nearby. As Bonnie walked along the western edge of the island, soaking in the views of the city just over 5 miles away, her dog sniffed out something peculiar. It was a knotted, heavy-duty trash bag that the dog just wouldn't let go. And soon enough, the trash bag started to give. What she initially thought was a discarded trash bag turned out to be something far more sinister. Taking a closer look, she saw legs. Are those human legs? Bonnie couldn't believe what she had just seen. Bonnie was in utter shock.
I looked away, thinking that it wasn't real.
Frozen by the weight of her discovery, she could not gather the courage to react. That's when she saw a passerby approaching.
He can call 911 because I just found a dead baby on the beach.
She was very distraught, yeah. Looked like she was crying.
He didn't waste a second and called for help. And soon enough, the authorities were on the scene.
The Winthrop woman was walking her dog on a Thursday afternoon in June of 2015 when she found a laundry bag containing the body of a little girl.
Within moments, detectives from the Chelsea office of Saul County State Police arrived to witness the chilling sight for themselves. Among them was homicide detective Daniel Herman.
Baby in a bag, reported in Winthrop on Deer Island.
It was homicide detective Daniel Herman who'd end up leading the charge to unravel the mystery behind this child's identity. It was a large-scale operation.
We canvassed the entire area and spoke with several witnesses that were on scene, and eventually we opened the bag and I viewed the contents.
As he peered into those bags, his heart couldn't help but ache, thinking of his own little one. Meanwhile, the secluded section of Deer Island buzzed with activity as emergency responders, police officers, and firefighters gathered.
Investigators were here last night. They were scouring the rocks in their search for clues.
In the midst of it all lay the lifeless form of a young girl, dubbed Baby Doe by Herman.
The child we named Baby Doe that was found on the beach on that day.
If anyone knows about a child that might be missing, or they're concerned about a neighbor's child or someone in their family, please reach out to us.
She couldn't have been more than 4 years old, with innocent brown eyes and long brown hair. Clad in white leggings adorned with black polka dots, she was cocooned in blankets, one of which sported a striking zebra print pattern. As medical examiners descended upon the scene, Dan Herman and his colleague, State Police Sergeant Scott Holland, were left thinking about the mystery surrounding the child's fate.
We did this in the presence of responding medical examiners, personnel, and we observed fully the body. We looked for any obvious signs of trauma or deformity, presence of blood.
Despite their thorough examination, there were no apparent injuries to the girl's small frame. She appeared well cared for, not malnourished, and showed no signs of trauma.
Did you see any sign of obvious overt injury or blood?
No, we do not.
Determining the cause of her death would have to wait until the autopsy.
Trash bag. They believe the body washed ashore. It's not clear if foul play is involved. An autopsy will be done later today.
For now, their focus was on a more pressing matter, giving this child back her identity.
Now police need the public's help to help identify this child and figure out what happened to her.
Deer Island remains closed to the public. In the meantime, authorities are pleading for the public's help.
In those early hours, they couldn't determine whether the tide had washed her ashore or if she'd been intentionally left where she was found. Seeking help, Dan reached out to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They scoured records for any missing children matching Baby Doe's description, while forensic artist Christy Andrews worked tirelessly to create a composite image to share with the public. But the task wasn't easy. Baby Doe had been in the water for some time, her features obscured by decomposition.
She was too decomposed to use the photos that we received.
Fingerprint analysis was futile, and there were no identifying clues within the bags or blankets she was discovered in. Despite exhaustive efforts, DNA and dental records yielded no matches. However, pollen tests provided a glimmer of hope, suggesting that Baby Doe was a local resident, possibly known to someone in Boston. The autopsy failed to pinpoint an exact cause of death, leaving more questions than answers. Dr. Henry Nields, the medical examiner, could only speculate that strangulation or suffocation may have been the cause. But the extent and timing of the bruises found on her body remained a mystery, masked by decomposition. With the autopsy's insights, Christy Andrews meticulously crafted a composite image of Baby Doe, spending over 4 hours in Adobe Photoshop to capture her likeness as best as possible.
She was too decomposed to use the photos that we received.
The final result was moving, a haunting depiction of a beautiful child, her piercing brown eyes seemingly pleading to be recognized.
Choose a face shape that I feel is similar to the deceased.
She adds eyes, matching the size and color of the dead child.
It's really just piece by piece, finding a nose. Each facial part is going to be individually manipulated.
And Baby Doe's face gradually comes to life.
She was found with a red hair tie, but it came back later from the ME that she had longer hair, almost as long as mine.
Earrings were added after the medical examiner discovered that her ears were pierced. There are other clues, too. She was wearing polka dot pants with a Circo label purchased at Target, and she was wrapped in a zebra-striped blanket bought at Kmart. Baby Doe bears a striking resemblance to an age progression image of Aaliyah Lunsford, a West Virginia toddler missing since 2011, but police say they checked, and Baby Doe is not Leah. Someone out there knows who she is.
We don't know where their family is. We don't know what happened to the child. You know, they're a number.
For 85 days straight, teams of investigators poured their hearts into the search, tirelessly distributing thousands of flyers bearing Baby Doe's composite image and the limited information available. Press appeals echoed throughout Boston and its outskirts, pleading with the public to come forward with any leads.
On the state police Facebook page, the little girl's image has been viewed more than 51 million times, but still, her name remains a mystery.
Despite the relentless efforts, it seemed as though each lead hit a dead end, leaving investigators grappling with uncertainty. Would Baby Doe ever be identified?
Her image is haunting hearts. Her name is unknown. The mystery, how a little girl's body was found on the Boston Harbor shoreline, and why no one has stepped forward.
Then, in despair, a breakthrough emerged. In the middle of June, they finally obtained the crucial piece of information they'd been chasing, Baby Doe's real name. Just 18 miles away from where Baby Doe's body had been discovered, Rochelle, a 40-year-old woman, drifted through life in a haze of drug abuse and heroin addiction. Despite the widespread media coverage of Baby Doe, with flyers plastered everywhere, Rochelle and her boyfriend, Michael McCarthy, remained tight-lipped. Why? Because they knew the truth. They knew Baby Doe's identity because it was them who discarded her body. Rochelle's life had been turbulent, to say the least, filled with addiction, homelessness, and brushes with the law. However, there was a time when her life took a different turn. In 2011, while homeless, Rochelle met Joseph Amoroso. They found strange harmony among the protesters of Occupy Boston. In the chilly November of 2011, amidst the passion of Occupy Boston, they found shelter in a tent pitched at Dewey Square. Unlike the demonstrators striving for change in the financial district, Joseph and Rochelle had simpler desires. Their tent wasn't a hub of protest.
When you say he was going to get high, what was he going to get high on?
Correct.
So, having met him for a very short time, you decided you'd go off and smoke crack. Was it smoking that you were smoking crack?
Yes.
Smoke crack with him?
Rochelle was a heroin addict, while Joseph's drug of choice was crack cocaine. It was during those days in the tent when Bella was conceived. Their relationship led to the conception of their daughter, but their paths diverged when Rochelle chose not to seek help for her addiction. Instead, she found herself arrested, while Joseph really wanted to rehabilitate. The nail in the coffin, though, came when he discovered Rochelle had been sleeping with other men. That's when he decided to head down south to the Sunshine State. When Joseph left for Florida for a fresh start, Rochelle returned to the shelter, determined to raise her baby alone. This wasn't Rochelle's first experience with motherhood. She had 2 older children who were taken into custody by Child Protective Services due to her drug use and neglect.
I did. I found out she had kids previous to Bella and that she had DCF remove them out of her life before Bella was born.
Did you discuss with her at all any issues around substance abuse?
Yeah, she told me she was getting clean.
Now pregnant again, Rochelle was determined to prevent history from repeating itself. She must get clean, not for herself, but for her unborn child. Rochelle welcomed her daughter, Bella Nevaeh Amoroso Bond, into the world on August 6, 2012 at Boston Medical Center.
August 6, 2012.
And you were living in the Mary Ellen McCormick shelter at that time?
Yes.
Where did you deliver her?
At Boston Medical Center.
Was it a normal delivery or were there complications?
It was normal.
And
Joseph, unable to be physically present, listened to the joyous occasion over a speakerphone from Florida. Returning to the shelter, Rochelle wanted a stable life for herself and her daughter. Yet, her struggles with addiction continued. Before Bella even turned 1, concerns about her welfare surfaced, with reports filed by Joseph to Children and Family Services. He could tell when Rochelle was using, he wanted to shield Bella from an addict. Despite investigations, no immediate action was deemed necessary. By Bella's first birthday in August 2013, Rochelle received a glimmer of hope, a 2-bedroom apartment on Maxwell Street in Dorchester. It promised stability and security, a fresh start for mother and daughter. Bella spent a lot of time at their neighbor's house playing with her dog.
And when you did that, did you have a chance to see, well, what kind of a girl, how old was Bella when you moved in?
She was about to turn 2.
And what sort of a girl was she?
She was really happy and always playing. She played a lot with my daughter.
Do you recall anything that she and your daughter liked to play, any games that they enjoyed or toys they liked?
They played tag in the back a lot.
Rochelle poured her heart into creating a nurturing environment for Bella, decorating her room with vibrant colors and beloved cartoon characters.
Did you see any sign at any point that she appeared to you to be intoxicated or under the influence of any substances?
Not at all.
However, Rochella's attempts at stability were marred by her friends.
Did that change at any time after you moved in terms of?
About a year after.
She was trying to stay clean while her friends were all addicts.
Sometimes I'd have friends over, stay for a little while, a month or so.
For a month or so?
Yeah, one person stays longer.
So let me ask you this, were these all friends or were some of them, for lack of a better term, boyfriends?
2 of them were boyfriends.
Her apartment became a revolving door for her homeless friends, much to the dismay of her neighbor, Yesiomara Torres.
Was there an event in terms of people living there it happened at about the same time that you noticed a change in her?
Around the time, I don't remember his name, but around the time he was staying there, she started.
She who could hear the comings and goings through the thin walls. Despite the chaotic environment, Bella's joyful spirit endured. Described as a happy, chatty, and friendly child, she radiated playfulness and charm, embracing her girly interests with gusto.
How would you describe Bella's desire or lack of desire to be with her mother when you were around her?
She always wanted to be around her mom.
As Bella approached her second birthday in August 2014, her bubbly personality continued to blossom, serving as a beacon of light amid her mother's struggles. In the South Bay area of Boston's notorious methadone mile, Rochelle Bond found herself on a regular pilgrimage to a methadone clinic. It was a familiar routine in an area rife with drug use and services aimed at supporting those struggling with addiction. Rochelle relied on medications like Clopin for her anxiety and Suboxone to manage opioid cravings, occasionally resorting to selling them for extra cash. One day, outside her usual haunt, Rochelle met Michael McCarthy, a man grappling with his own demons of addiction. Their chance meeting would steer the course of Bella Bond's life. Despite Michael's earlier stability and education, he veered into drug experimentation in his teens, eventually succumbing to heroin addiction. A seizure in 2011 left him with a shoulder injury and a loyal companion in his Pomeranian dog, who served as his guardian during seizures.
Well, I started seeing a car that he owned parked outside almost every day. He'd walk a dog around the house every day.
What did the dog look like?
It was either like whitish gray. It's a scruffy little dog.
Do you know much about dog breeds?
No.
So you couldn't say what breed it was? Did you ever get to know the defendant after he moved in?
No. I just walked by him, saw him going in and out of her apartment.
Did you ever interact or talk with him?
No.
Months passed with no contact between Rochelle and Michael until a sudden text reignited their connection.
How much time passed before you had contact with him again?
He had texted me like a year later.
A year later?
Yeah.
So you meet him outside the pharmacy, you exchange information, and neither of you hears from each other for a year?
No.
Seeking drugs, Michael found his way to Rochelle's doorstep, becoming a permanent fixture in their lives. With his presence, Bella embraced a new figure in her daily routine. Then, in early June 2015, Bella vanished without a trace. The once lively apartment fell silent, leaving neighbors like Yesiomara Torres puzzled by Bella's absence. Concerned inquiries were met with fabricated stories. One excuse was that Bella had been taken by Child Protective Services. Another story was she was living with her aunt. Rochelle and Michael carried on with life, seemingly unchanged, but Bella's absence raised questions among those who knew them. Yet, few dared to question the truth behind Bella's disappearance, leaving her fate shrouded in mystery for 3 agonizing months. Shortly after Michael McCarthy moved in, his childhood friend Michael Sprinsky stayed at Rochelle's apartment for 2 weeks.
And I had stayed at the apartment for a while.
And when you say you came to know her through Mike, as far as, based on what you could tell, how is it that Mike knew?
Sprinsky had grown up with Michael, and they shared a history of drug use on the streets of South Boston.
Significant as a teenager, me, Mike, a lot of other people used to come down here and drink. I spent a lot of childhood. And
Sprinsky knew Michael very well. He was his best friend. Michael was a stand-up guy, but there was one thing about him he never understood: Michael's fascination with demonology.
He always had books. He always researched it online.
Overruled.
What books do you recall him having?
Demonology books.
You say that he researched it online. How do you know that he researched these issues online?
I've seen them.
Michael McCarthy was an exorcist.
Another woman, and they were at a beach in Quincy, and he took her down to the water and thought that he could baptize her.
Yeah, just yes or no, did he ever discuss exorcisms with you?
Yes.
During Sprinsky's stay, Bella would still smile, laugh, and play. But he noticed a change in the atmosphere.
Smiling, laughing, playing with toys.
Did you ever interact with her yourself?
Yes, I did.
How did you interact with her?
Michael frequently talked about demons and claimed he could exorcise evil spirits, a fascination that had escalated into obsession.
Just to rid evil spirits.
Sprinsky got uncomfortable and eventually left after staying for 2 weeks. He stayed on the streets for a month and eventually returned to the apartment. But now Rochelle and Michael were using it again.
They started using together.
How did you know they started using together?
I seen them getting drunk together.
And where was that?
At the apartment.
When Rochelle relapsed that spring, they both returned to using heroin. Sprinsky observed the apartment descending into chaos, with little attention paid to Bella's well-being.
There was a lot of dishes, just everything was messy, thrown around, and just everything was just cluttered.
Did that happen just in that 1 month, or are you describing a process that happened over a longer period of time?
Concerned, Sprinsky sometimes prepared food for Bella himself. Both Michael and Rochelle occasionally suggested Bella was possessed.
Her daughter differently from how you had seen her treat her in the past?
Yes.
How so?
Just more ignorance for the child's well-being.
Michael even resorts to locking her in a closet as punishment for these supposed demons, despite Sprinsky's discomfort with the situation. In September 2015, Joseph Amoroso, Bella's biological father, made an unexpected visit to Rochelle's apartment. Despite staying in touch with Rochelle and receiving updates on Bella, contact had abruptly ceased since Christmas. Determined to build a relationship with his daughter, Joseph arrived in Boston and tracked down Rochelle's whereabouts. Upon arrival, Rochelle appeared shocked and confused, refusing to let Joseph into the apartment. She claimed Bella was staying with her godparents on Cape Cod, a story Joseph found dubious.
I asked her, I said, where's Bella? And she said that Bella was with her godparents down in the Cape.
Pressing for more information, Joseph insisted on seeing his daughter, unwilling to accept Rochelle's evasive answers. A week later, on September 16th, Michael prepared for surgery on an abscess. During their visit to Boston Medical Center, Rochelle confided in Michael Sprinsky.
She was crying, but it didn't seem real to me.
What do you mean when you say it didn't seem real to you?
As if that was going on in your life.
She revealed the horrifying truth. Bella was dead, and Michael McCarthy was responsible. Shocked and bewildered, Sprinsky confronted Michael McCarthy, desperate for reassurance that Rochelle's claims were false.
Said she said you killed Bella, bro?
Yes.
And then did you follow up with another text?
Yes, I did.
And that was roughly almost 4 minutes after the text before it?
He said, wow, you listen to a cracked out hooker? DSS took Bella. That's what she told me, and this is crazy saying on the phone. Why the fuck would she wait till now to tell that Sir Crack-a-Lot's back? Think about it, dude. Why would I still be with her?
Despite McCarthy's dismissal of Rochelle's allegations as baseless, Sprinsky couldn't shake the feeling of dread. He confided in his sister Laura, who urged him to investigate further.
And then I said to him, did you see the pictures of the missing girl? Does it look like her? And then I told them, put in the search bar, Baby Doe, Deer Island, found on June 25th. And then he said, that's her, man. I'm 99% sure.
Sprinsky's worst fears were confirmed. It was Bella Bond, her identity concealed for 3 agonizing months.
They shared their text messages from that day.
At 12:33, I reported it.
Laura Sprinsky wasted no time contacting the authorities, relaying her brother's unsettling revelation. Michael Sprinsky, in turn, sought out a probation officer at the Rothbury District Court, eager to disclose what he had learned. Massachusetts State Police swiftly dispatched homicide officers to interview Michael Sprinsky, finally connecting the dots. Baby Doe was none other than 2-year-old Bella Bond.
I'm like, these two sick, they're animals.
Months of relentless pursuit for Baby Doe's true identity had culminated in leads on her killers. Now, they needed to locate Rochelle Bond. On the evening of September 16th, Joseph once again confronted Rochelle, seeking to see his daughter. Though Rochelle denied him entry, she agreed to speak with him. The next day, Rochelle reached out to Joseph, and they met near Boston Medical Center. Rochelle seemed agitated as they talked about Michael McCarthy and Bella's well-being. Their discussion continued into the night, leading them to South Boston, where they slept under a tree. The next morning, as Rochelle returned to her apartment, she spotted police entering the building.
Tell us, police were here at around 9 o'clock last night. They went into this building behind me here on Maxwell Street in Mattapan and went to apartment 2.
When Rochelle realized they were coming for her, she fled through a window onto the back porch. She went to Joseph at the Ashmont subway station, and Rochelle finally told him the truth. Bella was dead. Together, they found comfort in heroin before Joseph took Rochelle to his mother's home in Lynn. With their mobile phones tracked, the police quickly arrested Rochelle on September 18, 2015. On that fateful morning, Rochelle Bond provided her traumatic story to the authorities, painting Michael McCarthy as the perpetrator behind her daughter's tragic death. She recounted a night in early June when, in a drug-induced haze, Michael murdered Bella. In early June 2015, Rochelle struggled to settle Bella to sleep one night. Despite tucking her in at 11:30 p.m., Bella kept getting out of bed, prompting Rochelle to repeatedly return her to her bed. Later, when Michael heard Bella playing in her room in the dark, he volunteered to put her to sleep. Within 5 minutes, Rochelle followed him and found Bella lying across her bed on her back.
Oh, I stepped in.
And what did you see when you stepped in?
He punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
Laying on the bed.
And when you say laying on the bed, what part of her body was on the bed? Or her front, her side, or her back?
She was on her bed.
Was she on the bed sort of the way you would expect somebody to be on their bed and on their back?
No, the bed was like this, and she was laying like this.
She was laying across the bed? Is that right? Did she react to the, other than her body bouncing, did she react to the punch at all?
No.
Shockingly, Michael punched the 2-year-old girl in the stomach with such force that she bounced up.
Did you see any injury to her that you could see?
No.
Was there any blood?
No.
None?
No.
What was the defendant doing while you were doing CPR?
I wasn't looking at him.
When you stopped doing CPR, what did you do?
So I picked her up to get out of there and grabbed me by the throat, and he told me he'd kill me.
Michael clasped Rochelle's throat firmly with both hands, issuing a menacing threat to end her life. Rochelle blacked out when she regained consciousness.
He tossed shoes down next to me, and he gave me a shot of heroin.
Where did he injected you with heroin?
Yes.
Where?
My throat, my neck.
In your neck?
Excuse me.
Is that something that he forced on you? In other words, did he overpower you to do that?
No, I was sick, and
he threw shoes down next to you?
Yes.
In a state of heroin-induced fear, Rochelle claimed she was forced to accompany Michael to 4 Point Channel, where she was forced to weigh down Bella's lifeless body in the water.
So I got up, and he had me by the arm, and he brought me outside.
Where to?
His car was there.
Where was it?
In front.
Was it day or night?
Night. It was dark.
Do you know what time?
I don't know. It was really dark out. I mean, it was dark out.
Could you tell by traffic or anything else?
There was no traffic.
What happened when he took you out to the car?
So he opened the door for me to get in, and he went around to get in the front, and when I looked in the back, I saw my green duffel bag, and I could see her thigh through it, like it was her in there, and I screamed something, I don't even know what it was, and then he hit me. And
where did he hit you?
head.
Are you indicating the side of your head?
Yes.
Where on the side of your head?
Like about here.
After that, she couldn't recall much. The ensuing months were shrouded in drug-induced confusion and terror, rendering her unable to divulge the truth for fear of Michael's vengeance. According to Rochelle, while she may have been complicit in disposing of Bella's body, she adamantly asserted that she did not commit the act. The responsibility for Bella's death, she maintained, lay solely with Michael McCarthy. Following Rochelle's statement, state troopers swiftly descended upon Beth Israel Hospital, where Michael McCarthy was waiting for surgery. Inside the hospital walls, he found himself thrust into the spotlight as the primary suspect in Bella Bond's tragic murder. Since the interview was conducted in the hospital, there were no cameras present, but there was a voice recorder.
And so would she. She would like stay on the other couch. Almost no one would stay in the first bedroom, and then the back bedroom was her daughter's.
Oh, okay.
But her daughter got taken by DSS. It's like her fourth kid that's been taken by DSS.
Really?
Yeah.
How many kids does she have? She had 4 kids?
From what she tells me.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I haven't known her that long.
Trooper Joel Balducci, hailing from the Sauk County Detective Unit, took charge of the interview with Michael. Initially, they chose not to disclose their knowledge of Bella's death or Rochelle's cooperation. They observed keenly, waiting to see what Michael would reveal. Michael McCarthy recounted to the officers that upon his return to the apartment after Easter, Bella was nowhere to be found. Rochelle informed him that Bella had been taken by the Department of Social Services, DSS, a story he had accepted without question. Trooper Balducci then confronted Michael with the information provided by Rochelle and the reality of Bella's death, challenging him to confront the truth.
Something happened to the little girl, okay? And even things that you said about the apartment, those aren't true. We've already been to the apartment.
What things about the apartment aren't true?
Listen, I'm trying to tell you little bits of information that I know to show you that I'm not in here jerking you around. I'm here to get your side of the story of what happened to Bella. And now's your chance to tell us.
And I told you everything I know the best of my recollection. If that apartment is different, maybe you guys were in the wrong apartment. Because what I said again is you go to the front door, the living room's to the left, then the front bedroom's behind that, then you walk and the kitchen's out there, and then the bathroom's after that, and the bedrooms.
Mike, I'm worried about where Bella is.
Yeah, now I am too, because I'm told she's been in DSS.
Mike, do you understand what he's saying though, when he says Rochelle's talking and giving more information than you are? Do you understand what that means?
Yeah, I've seen enough TV to have an idea what that
Mike,
means.
This isn't TV.
I know it's not TV, but I'm just saying to understand what that means.
You understand
but I can't.
what he means when she says that she's talking and she's giving a totally different story than what you're giving. And we're giving you a chance to give your side of your version of the story.
I'm giving my truthful side of the story.
Why would Rochelle, answer me this, and I'm asking you this as a question, why would Rochelle tell us that you hurt her baby?
Maybe to cover her own ass if she was. There's nothing else I can think of. Why would Rochelle let me hurt her baby?
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Mike. I'm just trying to figure out, I can't comprehend how a child like that could get hurt. Killed, right?
Killed?
You don't know she's dead?
No.
You don't know Bella's dead?
No.
Really?
No.
Huh.
In the late afternoon of September 18, 2015, 2 days after Rochelle's confession, Suffolk District Attorney Daniel Conley stepped up to address the press. He somberly declared their decision in the case that had captured the city's attention. With the cameras rolling and reporters leaning in, Conley continued,
Her name was Bella. Based on interviews and evidence recovered pursuant to multiple search warrants executed during the past 24 hours, the child that we all came to know as Baby Doe has been identified as Bella Neva Amoroso Bond.
As the press conference concluded, the gravity of the moment hung in the air. The city awaited further developments, eager for justice to be served in the tragic case of young Bella Bond. As Rochelle and Michael faced their arraignment hearing in court, the wheels of justice continued to turn. Meanwhile, Scott McKenzie of the Massachusetts State Police Underwater Recovery Team delved into the depths of the Boston Harbor. Guided by the belief that Bella's body had been discarded in the waters near the Black Falcon cruise terminal, McKenzie meticulously combed the seabed. In a matter of minutes, his efforts yielded significant discoveries: a large green military-style duffel bag and 2 weightlifting plates. With precision and care, McKenzie documented the findings before bringing them to the surface for further examination. Yet the story took an unexpected turn when Rochelle Bond reached an agreement with the DA's office. In exchange for her cooperation, Rochelle pleaded guilty to charges related to Bella's murder. As the trial unfolded, Rochelle took the stand and testified against Michael McCarthy. Her testimony, coupled with the evidence uncovered by authorities, painted a damning picture of Bella's fate. On May 30th, 2017, 2 years after Bella Bond's tragic death, Michael McCarthy's murder trial commenced at Suffolk County Superior Court in Boston. Assistant District Attorney David Deacon, leading the prosecution, portrayed the trial as a clash between 2 adults entrenched in drug addiction, each blaming the other for Bella's death. Rochelle Bond recounted a harrowing tale of Bella's murder, followed by a descent into a drug-fueled haze under Michael's control. In contrast, Michael McCarthy maintained his innocence, claiming he believed Rochelle's explanation that Bella had been taken by Child Protective Services. Michael Sprinsky, McCarthy's longtime friend, took the stand next, revealing McCarthy's interest in demonology and his belief in exorcising evil spirits. Sprinsky recounted disturbing conversations about demons involving both McCarthy and Rochelle.
Just to rid evil spirits.
During the trial's 3rd day, the jury visited 3 key locations: Deer Island, where Bella's body was discovered, the 4 Point Channel, where her body was disposed of, and the Maxwell apartment where Bella lived. These locations provided sad insights into the tragic events surrounding Bella's short life. On the 4th day of the trial, Rochelle Bond took the stand to provide her account of Bella's murder. Rochelle attempted to put Bella to bed, with Michael assisting as he had done before. Rochelle remained in the living room until she noticed Bella's room was unusually quiet, prompting her to check on her daughter.
He punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
Laying in the bed. I grabbed her, and she wasn't breathing, so I tried to do CPR.
Joseph Amoroso took the stand on June 8th, his emotions palpable as he recounted the heartbreaking realization of his daughter's death. Despite his efforts to be a father figure to Bella, he arrived too late to save her from harm. Joseph made it clear that he held Michael McCarthy responsible for Bella's murder, expressing no blame towards Rochelle for the tragic events. Eventually, she came clean.
She told me Bella was dead.
And what, if anything, did Ms. Bond do when you flipped out?
She punched me in my head and she told me to shut.
To prove Michael McCarthy's guilt in Bella Bond's murder. First, Rochelle Bond reported seeing weightlifting plates in Michael's car, matching those recovered from the seabed where Bella's body was found. Second, text messages exchanged between Rochelle and Michael were scrutinized, particularly those from July 16, 2015, 3 weeks after Bella's murder, suggesting Michael's efforts to conceal Bella's existence. Lastly, cell phone tower data placed both Rochelle and Michael in the Seaport area of Boston the day after Bella's body was discovered, indicating Michael's potential involvement in monitoring police activity at the crime scene. Throughout this time, Michael McCarthy and Rochelle Bond awaited their fate in prison, knowing that only they held the truth about Bella's death. On June 20th, 2017, the jury returned to the courtroom to deliver their verdict. In Massachusetts, a conviction of second-degree murder carries an automatic life sentence with eligibility for parole. Michael McCarthy was sentenced to life in prison with a possibility of parole after 20 years. This means he could apply for parole in 2037. Rochelle Bond, as per her plea agreement, was sentenced to time served and 2 years of probation. She must adhere to strict terms, including abstaining from drugs and alcohol, and undergo regular drug testing to ensure compliance. This tragic case shines a light on the devastating impact of drug addiction and the failure to protect an innocent child. Opportunities for intervention were missed, and Bella's life was cut short. She deserved a future filled with happiness and security, but instead, her life was tragically cut short at the tender age of 2. Join us by subscribing to our channel, where we give voice to yesterday's victims, paving the way to shield the victims of tomorrow. We have to start responding to the red flags before more blue police tape surrounds the family home.